The man with the unimpressive beard notices you approaching. He drops the ledger he was holding and turns to the lieutenant.
Mr. Guard, right? You run this place.
Yes.
I am Kim Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. This is an inter-district investigation, so joining me from Precinct 41...
What? What is this? A joke to you? Is this what you get when you call the police now? This guy? We've been waiting for a week here.
Sir, I understand your concern, but we are here to do a job. And for us to do it, I need you to stay calm.
Yes, of course.
I know it took us a while to arrive at the scene, but it also took you a while to call us. It was you who placed the call, correct?
No, I only just got here. It was probably Sylvie who called you. She usually works the bar here.
Do you have her number?
As a matter of fact, I do.
You said you just got here. From
what, of Martinez? No, I live in Jamrock. I only sometimes come here to keep an eye on the place. This is just one of the many cafeterias I manage.
But you still know your way around, yes? In case we need direction.
Yes, I know where some things are, but as I said, I don't live here. I just used to work here. And I'm not going to start working here again, if that's what you think.
I didn't imply that. Detective.
He probably means this is where you step in and ask your questions. His face expresses profound doubt in your having this. Ask him about the body's location before asking if he killed him. People give up information in the more innocuous questions, which you can later use in the more sinister ones, not vice versa.
Behind this building, there's a courtyard. They hoisted him up on a tree there. That's easy. See that door there? First you exit through that. Then, to your right, you should see a big hole in the fence. A really big one. You can get to the courtyard through there. No need for the keys. The hole is big enough for the Franco-Nigerian cavalry to fit through. Haven't you asked me that already? What is it with you and this woman? She has nothing to do with this. Okay, you got me. She went away because of the dead body out back. And because I asked for her number. That's why Sylvie went away. I hope you appreciate that.
Thank you.
I asked an employee out. She didn't want to come, but felt obliged to. It was a bad idea. Now, what is so goddamn fascinating about that for you? It's got nothing to do with the lynching. Good for you. Was there something else? I'd like to get back to what I was doing. I don't know who killed him. I'm not the police. That's your job.
This is it. He said they hoisted him up on a tree. Who is this they, if he doesn't know?
Oh, people are saying it was the union dock workers, that it was a lynching. The locals, the customers, the people who eat here, a lot of dock workers eat here. Sylvie told me...
Did the debarders themselves tell her this, or is it a rumor?
I don't really know. You'll have to ask her. I would suppose it's because they have nothing better to do.
You mean the strike?
Yes, the strike. The man they hanged was a security guard for the harbour company, I hear. A mercenary. The Unionistas probably thought they'd send a message.
The lieutenant turns the page in the little notebook he's been scribbling in.
Let's go.
Not so fast. You owe me 130 real.
As you blow this joint, behind you a whiny voice shouts.
Real mature, man. Real mature.
Hello, sweetie.
Wait, who's Sweetie? Her eyes move up and down your person as though taking your measurements. Her attention is scientific.
Why, you are, officer. You're a handsome man, officer, with your mustache and your chiseled jaw and that silly dimple on your chin. Take heart, officer. You're still a man in your prime. You must forgive me. I'm getting so scatterbrained. I'm Lena. My husband Morel and I are staying with our friend Gary just down the street, but I come here for tea when they're away.
This Lena is wacky enough for the motley crew. Hire her on the spot.
Yes, officer. You look rather dazed. Like a stunned fox. But surely things can't be that bad. Oh my. You know where we are, right? That's right. And where is the Whirling in Rags cafeteria itself located? Yes, indeed. We are in the fine city of Revachol. The new disco dancing. It seems like a lifetime ago. Much has changed, but it is still the most beautiful city in the world. A rare jewel set in the sand between the pines. Everyone says so, even foreigners. Speaking of history, you know what year it is, yes? That's right, dear. How splendid. Here, take this pen. Knowledge should always be rewarded.
Her relief is palpable. She was getting pretty worried about you then, but now she relaxes her shoulders.
I can tell that this is taxing for you, so I'll just ask one more question. What regime are we living under? What mode of government? Actually, we are not. You could say that about almost any other nation, but not Revachol. Try it one more time, officer. What mode of government? Nope, sadly not. Revachol is what's called a zone of control, under an alliance of foreign powers called the Coalition. We have no government of our own, and what democracy we have is market-driven.
Meaning, buying is voting.
Oh dear. And you were doing so well. There aren't any cops in Revachol, not in the traditional sense. The status of law enforcement has been a complicated... But we should stop for today, sweetie. You look like you need a break. Besides, I'm not the best person to explain the big things to anyone. A defeat, I'm afraid. The people of this archipelago tried to build something new, something different. The rest of the world didn't like it, so they came and ended it. This was 42 years ago. It has something to do with everything. I really don't know how to explain it better. You were doing quite well up until the end, dear. It does look like you're having trouble remembering things. History and places. Remembering reality in a word. It's very odd.
A sigh. The lieutenant buries his nose in his notebook.
But maybe a fresh set of eyes is what the world needs. And while I'm no doctor, such bouts of amnesia are often temporary, so I wouldn't worry too much. Someone more educated in sweeping matters. Maybe you should ask.
No, I'm not an encyclopedia. I won't be a guide either. I'm a detective.
Of course. Then I don't know. Someone rich, maybe? Wealthy people are educated. Though I don't know where you would find a wealthy person in Martinez. Yes, dear.
A paraplegic is someone with limited or no ability to use the lower half of their body. Paraplegia is caused by spinal cord injuries, like falling from a great height.
No, dear. I'm not quite that old. Although I was injured in the line of duty. Nothing so glamorous, dear. Though when I was young, I dreamt I was a training and development manager at a rapidly expanding mail order. You'd think it would be a safe job, but I had to be everywhere, and, well, once I happened to be under some faulty scaffold. I was lucky. This was almost 20 years ago, and I was compensated exceptionally well. One can only dream of such payoffs nowadays. That's quite all right. I'm used to people asking questions. I know they're thinking about it anyway. Whatever do you mean? Ah, yes. Probably Roll With Me by the Fletchers. People often quote the Fletchers at me. Of course, dear.
That sugary black rum stain on the counter makes you teary-eyed with joy. It's almost touching how syrupy and sticky it is. How long have you been up already? Oh, excuse me. Do you have something better to do than lust for sweet syrupy rum and lemonade? The worker is in a deep. Perhaps he's on his way to where you just came from, into the primordial darkness. You gently shake his shoulder, but nothing happens. This man could probably sleep soundly in a ship's engine room.
Yes?
The RCM in Martinez. What can I help you with? We don't see a lot of police around here. Of course. What can I help you with? Me? I am just a gardener. I am working. I have a greenhouse in the yard there. I've been trying to get some work done. Well, as you probably know, there's a corpse hanging from a tree there. It smells pretty bad, so I have to take breaks.
Don't worry, miss. We are here to clean it up. You can get to work soon.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. My head is about to explode from all the salts I've had to inhale. Of course. Where to? It's there. In the yard, right through the hole in the fence. What do you mean? Yes, sir. District of Martinez. This intersection is called Roundabout North.
He knows where we are. He just wants directions.
There's the pier, the Cape Side apartment buildings, some more tenements. Not a lot, really. The harbor gates, some kind of commotion, I think. I don't follow the local politics. A fleet store, too. Some shops and a bridge. The canal bridge leads to the coast, but it's broken, I think. Just coast. There's a little fishing village there, and a fish market. But that got closed down ages ago. It's just water. No, actually, I think they call it the Martinez Inlet. There are some islands in the bay, but they're hard to reach. No problem. Excuse me?
She's uncomfortable. Maybe you should drop this line of questioning. She shifts in her seat awkwardly.
Of course. I won't hold you back.
Her gloves. You get the feeling that you need them. You have a dead body to deal with after all.
Sure, keep them. I have another pair.
A simple little cadence. He seems to be making it up as he goes.
It's the jam, my man. It's a traffic jam for the ages. Harbor gates up the street are shut tight. No explanation given. Workers on strike, scabs agitating, an all-around clusterfuck. Meanwhile, we're all stuck here in long-haul limbo for days upon days upon days. Upon days. Feels like forever. Like I was born on this here roundabout and this was all I ever knew. Just me and the metal and the tires, the old...
Mazout is an antiquated term for heavy fuel oils. This man has a barely suppressed performative streak. Or he just likes unusual words. Or both.
Yeah, imagine. It's been a whole week already. So tell me, what do you need? It's like, whatever's going on over at the docks. Workers got a blockade set up, making demands, no way in or out. Some pretty wild stuff, I hear. Like a giant new power crane in half the company? I forget what exactly. Good on them, I guess. I've heard talk there's a company rep in town, too. Like, a strike negotiator type. They'd know what's up.
Ah, yes, from the Wild Pines. We'll meet her soon enough, I'm sure.
They want to keep that money flowing in, my man. Ka-ching!
He doesn't blame them, but he's not on their side. That's for sure.
Anything else? Yeah, this ain't really my area of expertise. I just do my job and get paid. I have us lorry drivers, camionneurs. You still hang around here waiting for this mess to end. Most have scurried off somewhere to get drunk or high. Or laid. Not that I blame them, really. Not my thing. Chasing transient pleasures is a drag these days. I prefer the examined life now. Thinking, reflecting, observing.
He tries his best to look nonchalant, but there's a rigidity in him, as if trying to conceal something warm and deep beneath a cool exterior.
He ain't one of us drivers. I know that. All accounted for. Otherwise, I haven't really asked about that. Been wasting time right here. Keep him busy.
It's easy to see he's telling the truth. He's kept his nose out of the dark stuff.
Analyzing the fundamental structural and psychological conditions of being stranded in the midst of a sea of motor lorries and their sad, despondent chauffeurs. A sense of surprise there ain't more bodies hanging from more trees. Oh, high-grade narcotics, illegal firearms, stuff like that.
Relax. He's merely joking.
Can't even get a few jokes past you, my man. I've got another haul of found cargo. Mostly sporting goods, tracksuits and that kind of thing. They usually get shipped to Grad and the Occident. Though we've been making headway in the Il Moran market lately. We're pals and all, but I can't just freely hand out the merchandise. The bosses won't be happy. This rockin' beauty. Sure is, like a rash you can't get rid of. You interested in heavy-duty cargo machinery?
A motor lorry, also called a camion, on Caillou and neighboring islands. This one looks roughed up enough to be some sort of found rust bucket. Maybe the A6?
Good eye, my man. Yup, she's an old one, but reliable. Me and her spent a long time together. Not unless they've illegalized sports equipment while I was on the road.
The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm. Ease into it. Don't go too far. This seems like a personal matter.
I'm okay, man. Just... the jams got me down. The fumes, the chemical rainbows, the tarpaulin stretched on the frames and the dull engines off.
Maybe the full-on, direct approach wasn't correct. Damn, it's tricky business looking into someone's eyes and not doing it wrong.
Don't be a stranger.
The small, wrinkled woman does not greet you. She nods along to something on her radio. A photograph is clapped. The photo, an ambrotype from the turn of the century, as golden as it's the warmth of a winter night's fire. Maybe she could give you comfort and shelter, some cigarettes and food money. Maybe she's your... No response. Wherever this woman is, your words fail to...
Wait. She's just a distracted old woman. Better to leave her alone. Why? I just told you why.
The woman still had nothing. Her smile just keeps...
Bastards! We have a right to work! Hold up and stay frosty, everyone. Cops are here.
You here to fuck with us? Beat the honest worker down. Good. We're fighting for a cause here.
Right to work! Right to work!
Besides, we're not that different. It helps if people see us talking cops and strikebreakers together. Shows authorities are on our side. Builds confidence. Rights of people. Rights of workers. To have.
His manner of speaking is wooden, the tone of voice bland and uninspired, almost as if compiling.
Might be time. Don't let the fat bastards tread on you. Cops tend to side with the higher-ups. I don't trust cops, but I can see you understand the right to work! Right to work! Maybe you should ask them the questions, like why we're not allowed to make a living here. Shame on you! We have families to feed, you piece of shit.
So do we, Scott.
We were promised work. We'd be in there, working, if the bastards hadn't shut the gates. Main gate's locked. Would take heavy ordnance to bust it open. Could try to get in through the secretary's office. Door's locked. The guard's blocking the way. And I don't mean the scrawny mess punk either. I mean head measurer. Or whatever he is. Huge Seminese guy standing up there on the overhead passage. Won't let anyone by. The access panel, bad. Standing on a narrow bridge, he's got a strategically advantageous position. I don't know how the Union has a trained killer up there. But that one's no joke, and my men are tired and hungry. They're workers, not fighters. Like civilized folk, you mean? These native fucks don't
It would be better for the neighborhood if you went home, at least for now. If you can't...
No! They will give up eventually. Or get drunk. Leave the button unguarded. Then we charge. Honest men and women, with rights, to work, to be useful. Not toys for corporate interest. We came here to help the harbor run smoothly in time of crisis. If Union fucks don't want work, they ought to let in those who do want work.
I have a question. Why do all these men follow your lead?
You think they follow because I'm big and loud? No. They follow the rules of the market, the rules of the economy, because they were given a job to do! When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroaches can't get their act together, decide to block honest work for other people. Beats me. They mumble nonsense about boardrooms and workers' rights, while we have the right to work!
There's something odd in the way he carries himself. His set of clothing looks vaguely mismatched. The different pieces of the attire seem ill-fitting. His shirt is far too small and an unpleasantly tight fit, while the overalls, held up by a belt, seem to fit a man with much more corpulence. He ignores your question, choosing instead to turn to the emaciated workers, raising both fists in the air. The clothes are obviously not his. Silence is the answer. There's something off here, but he won't. You've been talking to him for quite a while now. Something is off with this guy. Ask him where he's from.
What's it to you? big mess caused by union greed. But I only fight for the rights of people.
Every once in a while, it's like you can see glimpses of another guy under the guise of this fighter for jobs. He seems a more brutal, cunning, and suspicious person. Just a hunch. Or
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs, heavy lifting, cargo hauling, bouncer work. I know the drill. Worked at Territorial. Ring a bell? Uh-huh. It was a long time ago. What's it to you? Am I a suspect? Done no crime.
every once in a while, it's like you can see glimpses of another guy under the guise of this fight.
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs, heavy lifting, cargo hauling, bouncer work. I know the drill. Worked at Territorial. Ring a bell? Uh-huh. It was a long time ago. What's it to you? No, don't think we've met before.
Every once in a while, it's like you can see glimpses.
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain in Jamrock. Worked at Territorial. We're done here. I have a strike to break.
Scab?
You're hazy on the notion of a scab. Smells like politics, though. Maybe it's got something to do with the flask he reaches for from time to time.
A kind of a worm, content with mere survival. They come, they want to do our job for shittier pay, screwing over both themselves and us. Everybody loses. Beats me. Somewhere in the ground, I think. Gotta be bloody stupid or freaking evil to scab. Or I guess scared, maybe. But scared of what? Of who? Personally, I'd rather beg than scab. If the gentleman shouting on the street came begging, maybe they'd have gotten something. We've explained the matters, but they don't listen. This lot would be reasonable and go home if the big guy wasn't riling them up all the time.
Big guy. He means the leader of the scabs.
I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop scab. Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, "Let us cop for less money." Speaking of, what brings the RCM here, to the wild north? Come to see the strife? Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder. Of course, Policia. It wasn't me. You can rule me out. Easier that way.
He didn't do it. It's the truth.
My friend, I respect the right to roam. The open range awaits. I don't operate in that capacity. I'm not a granter of passage. The passage grants itself.
If it's so simple, why did the scab leader warn you of the guards blocking the way?
I walk right past Measurehead and go, yeah, the 2.5 meter tall Semini supremacist there. Walk right past him. Then press the button to unlock the door, then go past him again, and you enter the arbor through the office. Está. Don't worry, I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, you could best measure head in a physical confrontation, or you could convert to a Semini supremacist worldview. Or, maybe it actually is completely impossible. Not yet, no. He's incredibly strong. Jean-Luc himself would say the philosophy has proven overly heroic for the scabs to convert to. Not enough intuition. Sure. You know, serious business. I'm sure the big boss will be glad to tell you. You'll have to ask him first.
He's a chatty guy. Wants to talk about the strike. Return once you've met the union boss and are on a better footing with the orc.
body betrays your degeneracy.
Yeah, Measurehead. His body totally betrays his degeneracy.
Are you admiring my morphophysiology? It must be frightening to stand in the shadow of this racial pinnacle. Be calm, Sandwich. You are not in danger, because you are not a threat to me. That is precisely the negligence that has led you to succumb to Al Ghul. You reek of it. An invisible sword of Al Ghul emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick. Yes, Al Ghul.
He means alcohol.
Correct, my small skull servant. Al Ghul is an ancient Ilmaran poison, a parasitic fungus that has colonized your race. It is a...
Intentionally fermented drinks have existed for 10,000 years.
This is a fabrication the alchemists of Yizot and Bashir and their Rolam and Ghul have fed your people. Go on believing in it. Why don't you have another drink? Your features are not yet
Oh yeah, Measurehead.
No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the Ham Sandwich race is waning. Begging for help. Attempting to pass fear for cooperation. How far the Occidental Haplogroup has fallen. You were once... You gave the world eugenics, electricity, and powerful weapons of war like missiles and aerostatic aircraft. You dominated lesser cultures, like the deformed Hemians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Quakers. But now you will be superseded.
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
There is a button right behind him, just out of reach. It must be the one that opens the door to the harbor.
It is my task to keep the degenerate drunks from entering the harbor. Enough with this begging. You should leave the stage of his. Bring your troops to the Simenine Islands and to Boogie Street, and we will... The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexuality you call art, and your microcephalic skulls.
There may be a peaceful solution to this. You could internalize Measurehead's race theory. He would take you as one of his own. The best idea. Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
Do you?
The lieutenant looks toward the harbor's electronic door.
You are obviously a liberal, Sayolite. A polyculturalist. I can see it from your love of microtechnology. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. And the vile CF race cauldron of pederasty. Which one do you need education on? Those are the Simonese, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it. A receding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehensible street parades. In Maun cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort, wearing wooden clogs on their feet and little green tassels on their hats. You know them by the names of their nation-states. The Oranese, the Gotwaldians, and the Königsteiners. My people simply call them
Mahun is a derogative term for first world people of Gotwaldian descent. They do not all have eczema. Also, people of Katla, like the Suru and the Hu in some municipalities of Oranje, people do wear shoes made of wood to street parades.
The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and tassel-centric culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose intolerance.
Colorful tassels are, let's be honest, not a good sartorial choice for this century. You might want to avoid wooden clogs too.
The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the ancient Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea, the Suren of Sur-la-Clé, and even the North Königsteiners, the other large Mondial civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains, making them listen to El Mariachi music and eat toxic minced meat, as proven by the Maun and the Mesk. Occidental type A is in retrograde. The Simonese and the Areopagite are on the ascent. The indigenous people of this, the Insulindian archipelago. The Simonese inhabit the southern islands. I am Simonese. The Areopagites are the master race of the Ilmaran deserts. The Simonese are descendants of the Areopagites. We came here during a heroic migration from Ilmaran.
Wait, didn't Ilmaran desert pygmies invent alcohol and get pillaged just a short while ago?
No, Those were scimitar-wielding race losers of Sarava, Izzet, and Bashir, with their Himmi servants. Big difference. The Areopagites were fasting and conquering while this happened. You never penetrated.
Jean, baby, you're on fire.
I know, babe. The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. The Simonese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable progenitor, unchanged since the Super Isola of Pericarnassus. Ancient brains rest. The latter is perfected and adapting. Together they form the Simeno-Areopagite, or Simeopagite super race. That is...
Nature was not capable of more.
Type B are the unheroic races, amorphous non-competitors of the great race.
The Khoikos of Grad, Yugo, Zhimsk, Shest et al. Are what you would call white officer in a suspect description.
Yes. To an untrained eye, the Khoiko appear white and pinkish, like a ham sandwich. But look into their eyes and you will see. They are of an indistinct color, and so is their skin. Unhealthy, muddy, and ashen. Pinkness is a racial quality that has to be earned through centuries of advanced ballistic warfare and cultural domination that the Grad people have undergone for drinking Al-Rul and smoking the degenerate tobacco herb, and for eating potato. The Khoiko, the countless micronationalities of Grad, are all inexplicably obsessed with potat. The only thing they like more is dividing into microscopic ethnostates, like political...
Wouldn't he be one for ethnostates?
They are microscopic. The Semeno-Areopagite superstate will cover the entire remaining planetary crust, uninterrupted. From Holy Semenine to the Boreal Plateau, its leaders will be the genetic epitome of the Simonese and Areopagite stock, elected by nature, not the base inert spoilage called demos. Revacholians, halfway between Type A and the Racial Cauldron. Two makes to know right from wrong. You tried your degenerate little revolution, which was the single greatest failure committed by humans in our 82,000...
Is it 82,000 years that we've been recording history? You have very little idea of what is happening, but that seems a little off.
The revolution came to Ravachol from Grad, in Zaras ridden potato carts. It is literally an illness. A prion disease that leaves the parietal and frontal lobe ridden with holes. The revolution is fatal familial insomnia. A hereditary prion condition passed from the Koiko to the Occidentals. But not sexually. Probably through trade routes and potate acid, the prime component of the enough of Tibet mediocrity. Tips CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Your morbid interest in them worries me. Lesser races like the mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a masked woman and a Semenese man. Only possible if the mother is masked and the father Semeni. The mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey. All they have left is to ride customized motor carriages with hydraulic suspension, listening to aggressive El Mariachi music.
It seems unlikely that two human beings produce genetically sterile offspring.
You are right. You have misunderstood. You lack basic phylogenet. Then there is the Semino-Koiki Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Semino-Koiki Chimera? It is not an aesthetic site. The Koiko, as you know, are very servile, especially when they meet the rich man. Racial scientists have toyed with the idea of crossing the Semenese with the Koiko to produce a superbe. This will never happen. The Semenese and the Koiko may have similar interbreeding problems as the mosquito. We will never know precisely. No Semenese, but enough. It is cruel to entertain ourselves with the deformities of Type CF. Were there any able-bodied race? You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it. We will see.
Access to the Union is important for our investigation, but there may be another way in, without becoming a race theoretician.
Am I mildly worried he might take it seriously? The lieutenant thinks. Yes, I am, he concludes. I am worried.
Lost, though. Buckled away at the last gate. This is why your haplogroup will never rise from the air. I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vasholian. Your love for disco music and venereal disease? Don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that. Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront, but also to serve is noble. It takes discipline. Your petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. Of course you are, Revacholian man. The failure of communism to challenge the world order is the core of your... Above all, rampant multinational finance still reigning large. Tell me, where have you gotten your love of pathetic communism from? Degenerate youth culture? Rock and roll music? Stop explaining yourself. No one cares about your beliefs. The conversation has offshoots of the Seminoles people invented disco while having sex under the influence. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Seminoles race. The South Island race, haplogroup A4A. We are the rightful masters of the Insulindian archipelago. We descend from the We are the future. That I am a descendant. The narrow streets of Ulimbuir are with me in my genetic dreams. I see young Seminoles women walk into the grey mass on Ile de Fantôme, waiting on immaculate conception from... No, I have heard about it on the radio. I'm from Couronne, and no, it is not just in Revachol. The city is central to the Seminoles strategy. Spreading through it, you have heard enough about our phylogenetic secrets for today. You have extinction to come to terms with, and never getting into...
I don't think anything about this. We are wasting our time having this conversation.
Your pedomorphic friend is right. You should leave here with your tail between your legs. Racists are generally not very good I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection. I have taken the trouble to...
The drawings are precise and look true to their pseudo-scientific ambitions. One thing, however, it is not entirely free of throwbacks in the phylogenetic tree. His large jaw, for example, could be a trait indicative of criminalism. Also, his earlobes could be small.
That atavistic stigmata makes pussy say yes, plenty.
Babe, thanks. But I got this. There is nothing funky about them. I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vacholian. Your love for disco music and venereal Your race descent has only worsened since the last...
Yes?
Hola, wandering man. How can I help you? Sorry, busy surveying the situation. I'm sure you figure something. Wiretapping, telescopic batons, futuristic circuit bending to infiltrate harbor machinery, or calling in tactical air support. You guys have air support, right?
Because we don't. We don't have air support.
I get it. Hush, hush. All right, I may have some advice for you on how to deal with Jean-Luc there, out of solidarity to the RCM. First, don't fight him, obviously. Second, get him to share his theory by being subordinate. Admit your lack of expertise. Basically, grow them.
Maybe that would work. We'll have to see.
Your race descent has only worsened since I last saw you. There is nothing funky, Chip.
It seems unlikely.
You are right, then there is. The Simino Koi, that is understandable. Were there tips, the F are lesser race, the mosquito?
It seems unlikely that two human beings produce genetically sterile offspring.
You are, then there is. The Koi, this will button off. It is cruel to undertake. I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vasholian. Your love for disco music? Oh, don't be vulgar. Why, Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. Also, to serve is noble. It takes discipline, jam, individualism. You have gotten these ideas from... Of course it does. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory. I can see that. The Simonees are the South, we are the... I am a descendant. No. I have heard about... You have heard enough about our phylogenetic secrets for...